Hey everybody, John Hines here from the Monkey Bar Gym, and today I'm going to talk to you about something that I actually love doing, is figuring out how do you train if you don't have access to a whole bunch of equipment. So today we're going to talk about kettlebells and kettlebell cleans, and how do you make a kettlebell clean heavier if you only have a light kettlebell. Okay, so sometimes Jesse and I, when we travel, Jesse likes to bring a kettlebell along, and so maybe we only have a 16K or 20K in the car, yet I want to get a workout as well. So how do I modify it so that it's challenging? So that's what I'm going to go through with you guys today. So the first thing is there is baselines of the movement, and there's progressions that we're going to go through. So when you're starting off with a kettlebell clean, this is what we're going to go through today. The first and easiest way to do a kettlebell clean to make it easier is hike it back. Okay, so the bell's going to be about a foot in front of your toes, and I want you to tip the bell so it's in line with your shoulder, other arms out, and then you're going to breathe in and hike it back, and that's how you're going to do your clean. Thumb to chin, elbow in, and then after that you're just going to let it return. You're going to let it return the same path, but then it's going to come back here, and then you're just going to do extension of the hips, shrug of the shoulders. Okay, so this is the easiest way to do a kettlebell clean. What if that's too easy? Next step to make that movement a little harder is, instead of hiking it back and getting all that momentum, you take the momentum out of it. You go straight from the ground, so we call this a dead clean. Thumb is facing back, chest and butt out. You do the same thing, breathe in, and thumb to chin, elbow in. Same exact positioning, except now instead of hiking it back each time, I bring it straight back to the ground. Okay, so that's level one, hike it back. Level two, a little harder, a dead clean. Next step up to make it a little harder, take away a little of the range of motion. So instead of starting all the way down here and getting all of this movement, stand with the bell. We're going to do a hang clean now, and just bend your knees a little bit. Now it's going to be considerably harder, where all I get is this extension. So your hips and your shrug have to be a lot stronger, where you turn it back to just the hang position. Now when you do this, don't bounce. So all I'm doing is extending from here. Okay? Next level from there, don't even use your legs. Just start from here, and it's just a strong shrug of the shoulders. Bring it back here. And these are all power cleans, by the way. There's two different types of cleans. Power clean is where you end up in the standing position. Now next, and that's a challenging way to go, but you can actually make a regular clean very hard if you drop under it. So we're going to do that next. This will get a lot more legs involved into it, and you're going to get a lot more squat out of it. So I'm going to go through the same three progressions. So I'm going to have the bell in front, but instead of hiking it in just one extension of the legs, I'm going to hike it and then quickly drop under it. So I hike it and drop under it into a full squat position and stand. And then as it comes back here, your objective is to drop under it quickly, so it comes here in the bottom position, and as I get this shrug, and since this is so light for me, it's not hard for me to get myself under it. Dead clean is next. This is going to be a little harder. Now I'm going to pull to here. My objective is get under it as quickly as possible. Not doing the power clean where I just stand up with it. And stand up. And stand up, okay? Next then is a hang. You might hear my legs stomping on the ground. Here. Okay, and that's your progressions for doing more of a power clean, where you drop underneath the weight. Okay, so now I've gone through two different ways to challenge you a little bit more on a clean. So how do we take it up another notch from there? Well, a clean is nothing more than a progression from different hip extension exercises. The whole point of doing most kettlebell exercises to develop speed and power in your hips. Okay, so you're gonna basically, this is the movement that you want. And all Olympic movements for cleans and snatches, deadlifts, for powerlifting, all of those are meant to strengthen the backside of the body for jumping, running, powerful press, pushing, and stuff like that, and powerful pulling. So what we're trying to do here is use the kettlebell in that manner. So we want to get that powerful hip extension and powerful shrug, and trying to fine tune it so that you can find a level that challenges you if this is the only bell that you got. Okay, so next up, why I'm saying that is because the focus is the hip extension. So what if, like this bell right here, 16K, it's easy for me, for myself, it's easy for me to do this. So I don't have to feel stuck that I have to do a clean. What's wrong with doing a snatch instead of doing a clean? Because that's just up the totem pole of challenge of exercises. So if you've still gone through a bunch of those different cleans, hang clean, and it's still just too easy, progress to a snatch then. All right, so we start here. I'm gonna hike it back, I'm gonna tip it, hike it, overhead position. I'm gonna hike it back, and this is a strong overhead position here, and then from here it's just okay. Now to make that same movement harder, that's not really super hard. So if I do it a dead snatch, now it's gonna ramp it up quite a bit. So I'm here in a ready position, there's no hike back. I'm just gonna extend my hips and shrug my shoulder forcefully, because now I gotta get the bell overhead. Okay, more difficult. Now if I ratchet it up a little bit more and I go to a hang position here, I'm taking away a little bit more range of motion. So I stand up with the weight, drop down into a quarter squat. Now this is gonna get a little hairy, okay? You notice, you can see the intensity ratchet up when I'm doing that movement. So now it's getting harder, okay? I'm getting into the level where a little more weight would be really challenging to do properly. But this is a snatch, it's one arm. If I had a second bell, I could do all these same movements with two arms. But for myself, to make this exercise really hard, that's a good example of a hang snatch. That's challenging for me. But see, what's even more challenging for me is doing it where I drop under the bell. And a lot of speed is required to do this. Similar to how we were dropping under the bell doing the cleans, it's very similar movement. So if you watch the cleans here, if I'm dropping under it, okay, I'm gonna apply the same rule now to a snatch. And I can do hike back, I can do a dead snatch, I can do a hang snatch, any of them. But this time I'm gonna add range of motion, so I wanna end up overhead in a full squat, one arm kettlebell overhead, all right? And this is a snatch, all right? It's just a lot harder to do because it's so much range of motion is required. So I'm gonna do a dead snatch, but I'm gonna drop under it quickly. Okay, so you guys see there's a lot of speed required on that movement, and all I'm trying to get through to you guys today is you can manipulate a single bell and make it easier or harder. So when you think in terms, what I want you to do is, number one, you want to get challenged in the movement. What is the focus of the movement? This exercise, the focus of the movement is hip extension. Okay, so whether you do a clean or a snatch, either one of those, they're there to challenge you accordingly with the weight. So if a clean is just too easy at a certain weight, then you can do a snatch with it, and that's harder. I gave you a couple different ways to manipulate from doing a hike back, it's easiest, to a dead, which is next, where you're just coming straight from the ground, to a hang, which now the weight, it can be at just below your knees, it can be above your knees, you can do straight leg and just shrug of the shoulder. So there's a bunch of different levels to do right there. And you can do them on a clean, and then you can progress through all those levels if you want. If it's still too easy, then you progress to a kettlebell snatch. Okay, but let's say I want to stay with the kettlebell clean. How can I ratchet that up to make it a little harder? Well, here's one more little trick that you can do, all right? So what I like to do sometimes, and this, like doing the snatch where you end up in an overhead squat to standing position doing a snatch, that's challenging because it challenges my range and my hips and my shoulders, my ankles and my alignment. I like that a lot because I like to really train alignment as well with my strength and power. This is a different version of that. If we're doing cleans, we're going to do what's called a bottoms up kettlebell clean. And you can do the exact same progression. So if I'm going to hike it back, I'm going to have the bell here, I'm going to thumb back, I'm going to tip the bell, and I'm going to hike it and then get to the bottoms up position where the bottom of the bell is facing the sky, and then I have a vertical line through my elbow here. Now watch, if my elbow is out, it's going to be really hard to hold that bell in the right position. Okay, so when I come up to here, you're going to extend the hips and shrug the shoulder hard, and you want to punch that fist until you have a vertical line here, and your arm is supported by your body. You don't want to be out here, okay? So your arm is still supported by your body, and then when you return it and repeat the reps, you're going to turn it in again so your thumb goes back. I can do dead. I can hike it back, which is easier, or I can do hang, which is hard. That was hard. The little legs, that's way hard, okay? So right there for myself, a little bit of a squat, and then all I'm focusing on, if you look at my hips right here, all I'm focusing on is strong hip extension. Boom, hit it to this position here in the bottoms up kettlebell clean. And even with the 16K, a dude as strong as me is having a nice challenge for this workout, okay? So right there, you guys got a bunch of different arsenal ways and levels that you can challenge. Go from the clean to the snatch. Go from a regular clean to a dead clean, to a hang clean, to no legs at all, just shrug clean. Okay, you can do the dead clean, or dead snatch, excuse me, to a hang snatch as well. Then you can drop under both of them, which will challenge your range of motion a lot. They may seem easier, you know, at high levels, it's easier because you can get under the weight, but when you're getting used to it, it's very challenging because your range, your knees might collapse. If you're in a clean with one bell or anything like that, your knees might collapse. If you're trying to do the snatch overhead, your knees might collapse, your arm might be forward and stuff. So your range, especially with kettlebells, because you don't have that bar to hold you stable there, the kettlebell's all over the place. It's 360 degrees unstable up there. And that's gonna really challenge your alignment in your shoulders, your hips, and your ankles and knees. So I love finding that zone that challenges my balance, alignment, strength, and power. And so when we just went through this just now, I found that doing a hang clean with just a little baby squat, popping it to here, bottoms up clean, that was a nice challenge for me. Find out what your challenge is, and you're gonna have a great workout no matter where you are. Peace.